and this is what it's about today. It's been a while since my last video, but you know, life's been busy and work's been busy, and I'm sure you guys know what that's all about. So, where are we with the Mustang? Basically the white line catalogs on it. So we have their lower control arms, upper adjustable control arm, adjustable front and rear sway bars, adjustable end links, springs right now, factory dampers, and camber bolts up the front to set your camber. Always kind of sketched me out. Now that the car's being tracked more on autocross, stuff like that, weirds me out even more. Well, like I said, if you don't know what it is, essentially it's a bolt with almost like a cam lobe on it. So you turn this bolt on your upper, I guess, strut mount on your knuckle, and it moves the knuckle in and out at the top, creating more negative camber or positive camber, whatever you need. We're fully maxed out here with 1.6 degrees. That's the most camber we can get out of the bolts. I believe Eibach is what we have in the car. Maxim Motorsports, blah, blah, blah. All the same bolt, different box. So the most you'll ever get with a camber bolt is 1.6. Rear, solid axle, no adjustment. That upper adjustable white line mount, or upper control arm I should say, did allow me to sort out my pinion angle. Since the car was lowered, I had a little bit of a driveline hum, but it's kind of inherent due to the two-piece drive shaft. That's leaving eventually. So where are we with the coilovers? Essentially, I needed more strut to tire clearance to run a set of bigger wheels and tires. I want to go with a set of 18 by 11s or 10.5s. Haven't quite decided exactly what brand yet, but I'm leaning towards a set of 18 by 11 Apex is the brand, and ES7 is the model. They kind of look like a set of BBS wheels, but they have a good amount of clearance. They'll clear the big 15-inch brakes that we did, so that made it really a no-brainer for me to probably go with that company. It would allow me to run a smaller spacer. You do still have to run a spacer. I believe it's a 20 millimeter with the 18 by 11s to get everything to kind of jive in the front. There won't be any rotating tires because they're vastly different offsets, but so that'll be the deal. 200 tread wear tire, 18 by 11, needed the coilovers for the strut to tire clearance. So I went with these. So we'll dispel the budget thing right here. Essentially, in the Mustang community, you're a peasant if you spend under $5,000 on your suspension. These are about $1,500 US. By the time they came to Canada, they were about $2,200 or $2,300 after customs and everything. So not inexpensive, especially coming from the Supra world. You know, you can get a set of coilovers for, you know, $1,000 and they're middle of the road. None of that with the Mustang stuff. It's either all of it or none. So we went with none. But you know, I'm really happy with how these Feals look. They were recommended to me. I did some research. A man builds these. So you place your order for your coilovers and a guy assembles them and ships them. I've never had a set of coilovers come with a set of shock dyno sheets. So every strut was on a shock dyno. Like the quality control, I'm really happy with. Silly little things like your little adjustment piece for the top of your struts has a set screw in it. So you sink it down on that thing and tighten it, and it's never gonna fall off. Silly little things like this, like just little detail, they speak volumes to me. So obviously the pride and ownership of the company is there. I mean, they go the extra mile and it's evident. So this is the entry level for the Mustang, an entry level for most cars. It's called their 441, would be their entry level brand, or entry level model. 441 Plus would be the middle of the road type deal. The difference being a set of Swift springs. So I believe the spring rates are 350 front and 200 rear for this. If you do go with the 441s, you can spec your spring rate. I chose to go with the off the shelf because I haven't really decided on a set of tires yet. So adding more spring rate down the road when I add more grip would probably be beneficial to dumping a load of spring rate on this with hard tires and overwhelming the tire. I'm not quite sure that I like the sound of that, so we're starting with this. The factory dampers, they're valved to accept a spring that's 2 kilograms heavier or softer, front or rear. 441 and 441 Plus is the same valving. So unless you've spec'd custom valving stuff with them prior to them building your stuff, it's a fairly flexible setup. So you can change your springs later and don't have to worry about sending it in and having it revalved. But you can send it in and have it revalved if you'd like. You can upgrade your struts to double adjustable, so you have rebound and compression adjustable independently of another, rather than increasing both with a knob just like you have on their basics. And even three-way, they have fast and slow rebound adjustment. So you can go crazy. Like, you can spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on these. We decided to go entry level essentially because the car is, you know, kind of an overall autocross, HPDE, track day, kind of entry level setup. Reasonable stuff, not the best of the best, not trying to go crazy, you know, and say I got $10,000 suspension, but just spending decent money on reasonable parts and seeing how far they go. And if something is a real weak point, then we can sort it out later. I'm sure the company would be happy to work with a guy as his needs grow. They'll accommodate you. They were packaged really good though. I mean, I will say the box was kind of beat up and nothing was damaged. We won't use these, we have a set. I mean, the cheap coilover keys I don't mind because it looks like they spent money everywhere else. Double adjustable, so you set your preload here, thread your shock body into your mount to adjust your, I guess, stroke length. And it's nice to see that it's adjustable in the rear as well. I'm super happy with the way these look. I'm excited to get them in the car, so let's get them in the car. So I went ahead and just set the Feal spring about an inch shorter than the white line. I'm not quite sure. I know this is a progressive rate and this is a linear rate, but I'm hoping that inch we were out, it'll make up about that inch. I'm not looking to slam the car, just make it level and usable. So we'll start here. Springs will be fun to adjust. We just got to that part now. Put the car up on jack stands on the axle so it'll mimic ride height. So I'm going to measure height, set the suspension height, and then move on to the front. Bam! That's a big nasty thing. Leaving for good. I did figure out that the new suspension is now low enough that I cannot use my white line adjustable end lengths that came for the front. I do have a second set for the rear, which are a few inches shorter, but essentially this is the issue, is the sway bars bottomed out on the lower control arm. So I may use, oh, bump the mic, the set that came with the coilovers until I can dig out my spare set of adjustable rears, and then I'll use those up here. But if you're installing a set of these coilovers on this car and you have an adjustable set of sway bars, you should order a second set of rear adjustable sway bar end lengths so you have them for the front, because you're going to need them. I'm going to keep going with this. I set the hub to the lip of my fender at 16 inches here and 16 1/8 over there. The driver's side of the car is an 1/8 inch taller because you know, I'm semi-fat and I'll be over there, so trying to have the car as level as possible with me in it, and just going from there, I guess. So we're gonna end up using the end lengths from Feal. I cannot find my second set of adjustable rears. They're quite a bit shorter, so this is gonna be it for now, and I guess I'll change them out when I find my rears. Well, here's where we ended up. I set the ride height to 15 inches from the center of the hub to the wheel arch, front and rear. Just as a good, you know, I thought that would be a decent height to start at. The white line springs weren't terribly off of that. They were just a little higher in the rear, so I believe it was 15 in the front and 16 in the rear. Now we're level. I set my droop to about 2 inches all the way around, so the shock stroke length has another 2 inches from this of travel. The rear was horrible to adjust. Every time I needed to adjust the springs, I had to disconnect the shock at the axle, and it was a whole fiasco. Anyways, this is as low as they go in the rear. There is no adjustment down from here, only up. So when I put the 18s on, it's a little bit shorter of a tire. It's gonna have some wheel gap, but that's the fitment that the road race cars ran, and I looked at some pictures, it's pretty normal. They weren't tuck-in tire with 18s anyways. So I went ahead and adjusted the Panhard bar so the axle's level, or centered, I guess I should say, left and right. So we did that. I went as positive as I could go on the knuckle with that top adjustment point, and we maxed out the rear, or maxed out the camber at the pillow ball mount anyway. So this is it. It was a fairly straightforward process. Took a while for me to dial everything in. I think I got about probably 10 hours into this just to make it what it is. I noted where all the compression was, and I noted the drive, the height, and I noted everything. So I know where I'm starting, so when I get to the point where I need to start making adjustments, I know exactly where I'm coming from. But that's it for this go, I guess. I guess we'll probably do another video right away, but it'll probably be at an autocross event. So you guys will get to see what that's all about, and maybe the Mustang munching on some cones. All right, guys. See you later.